now being told. And so what they are waiting for right now is to see if perhaps the FBI Baltimore field office, if their agents will also come in and assist with that investigation. We've already seen that the ATF is making its way down there to investigate as well. So a lot of hands from the local level to the federal level will likely be there very shortly to continue the investigation now going on there, hearing that this school shooting has happened essentially just as school was starting there at Great Mills High School at the beginning of the day, the 8 o'clock hour, as students were gathering, making their way to school, beginning their day. This reported shooting happening during that time. A lot of parents there we have seen on social media gathering at the scene, looking for answers, and they, of course, being directed to communication centers at Leonardtown High School. As you might imagine, a lot of concern about what's happening there at Great Mills, given the Parkland shooting. And again, as you mentioned, given that march that is set to happen in D.C. in just a matter of days. For many we have seen online, this is highlighting the need for some kind of national rethinking of our gun policy, Chris and Don.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Justin. I know you're making your way there to the scene. It's, I don't know if ironic is even the right word, but students there at Great Mills High School were some of the students in our area that walked out of class. Some of them walked out of class in protest last week to protest some of the recent school shootings and the violence in schools. Now, of course, their school has been placed on lockdown just about a week later as they deal with their own incident on campus.
It's 9:15 now. If you are just joining us, you are looking at video from Baynet.com of the scene at Great Mills High School in Southern Maryland in St. Mary's County, where the Sheriff's Department is investigating a shooting incident. We do not have many details at this point. We only know that there were multiple injuries. Several people were taken to the hospital. The Corporal, Julie Yingling from the Sheriff's Department, says the situation is contained. The school remains on lockdown, and parents right now are being sent to Leonardtown High School, which is about 15 minutes away from the scene of the incident, so that parents can get more information from law enforcement and to hopefully in the next few minutes, next hour, be reunited with their children if they can get away from the high school. We don't know exactly what's happening there at this point, but we do know that the Sheriff's Department says that the situation has been contained.
Well, at this point, the things we're trying to determine, first off, who committed the shooting? Who was shot? How did this happen and where? Was it outside the school or inside? And if it was inside, then in what part of the school, and how did this all go down? Some of the other questions we'll be trying to answer over the next few minutes are, at any point did sheriff's deputies have to engage this shooter, and what is this shooter's status as of now? As we try to discern all that and work our sources with law enforcement to try to piece together that information, we do so with the knowledge that this is still very, very early, and they may just be collecting evidence and trying to piece that together themselves. We've also got a team on the way to the hospital because we don't know an exact number, but we know several people have been wounded, have been injured in this shooting. They've all been transported to St. Mary's Hospital, so we've got a crew on the way to the scene there, hopefully to bring us an update on how they're doing.
And I think this is new video. Is that right, Alex? Is this the video? This is new video from Al Murray, which was posted on Facebook. This is just another angle of Great Mills High School. At some point in the shooting investigation this morning, the first bell, we understand, is at 8 a.m., and the first reports we heard of the shooting investigation in St. Mary's County was 8:10. We're trying to determine right now whether the incident happened even before school began, but right now we know that at about 8:10 is when we started hearing that law enforcement was responding to Great Mills High School for a school shooting incident. We are hearing reaction from elected officials, Congressman Steny Hoyer from Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, and also Emma Gonzalez, who's become a leader of this movement that's come after the massacre at Parkland, Florida last month. She tweeted, "We are here for you, students of Great Mills. Together we can stop this from ever happening again." And we can imagine that Emma Gonzalez and a number of students from Marjorie Stoneman High School in Parkland, Florida, are going to be at the March for Our Lives this Saturday here in Washington, D.C., where some 500,000 people are expected to call for change, to say enough is enough. They're protesting gun violence, especially at the schools. A number of parents saying that their children should not have to go to school every day, wondering if their lives are in danger. There has been anger and frustration and fear and outrage from people all across the country as we continue to report on school shootings just too frequently now. And this very last one in St. Mary's County, Maryland, in southern Maryland, about 60 miles away from the Washington, D.C. area. We are trying to learn about the number of victims and the extent of their injuries, but at this point, we do not know how many people were hurt in this incident.
No, and as we take you back to that video that was just coming into the newsroom, we can also show you some of the tweets. This is obviously coming from the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office announcing that there's been a shooting at Great Mills High School, telling parents the school's on lockdown. And again, they were telling them following that to please go to Leonardtown High School. Leonardtown High School. If you have a child at Great Mills High School, that school is on lockdown, and they're directing parents about 15 minutes away to Leonardtown. The kids that they were able to get on buses, they put on buses and sent them to Leonardtown. And again, we take you back to this video that's been coming into the newsroom, some of our first images of the massive police response there outside Great Mills High School after this school shooting occurred this morning, right around the time of the morning bell.
The St. Mary's County Sheriff's Department is reporting that this situation is contained, that the school remains on lockdown, that we don't know at this point how many people have been injured in this shooting, and that parents are being directed, as we've been mentioning all morning, to Leonardtown High School. I think the Sheriff's Department really wants to get that message clear. Parents do not go to Great Mills High School. The St. Mary's County Public Schools is putting out information. All they're saying right now is that there's been a shooting at Great Mills High School and that the school is on lockdown and the event is contained. And the Sheriff's Office is on the scene, and they're hoping to provide additional information. We know there are so many questions right now about what happened this morning at the school. There are about 1,600 students at Great Mills High School. And again, the first bell is at 8 a.m.
Right now, I'm told we have Amanda Hills from the Baltimore division of the ATF. Ms. Hills, can you hear me?
I can.
Can you tell me any information that you have in terms of what happened there at Great Mills and what is the situation with the shooter at this minute?
The only information I have to provide you with is that special agents from ATF Baltimore Field Division's Hyattsville 1 and 2 field offices are en route to assist our law enforcement partners in St. Mary's County.
Can you tell us the process by which that goes down? Is there a request that goes out, or when you hear of something like this, is it an immediate mobilization, deploying some of your forces to help out?
It can be either situation. Typically, in a lot of instances, we will self-deploy just so that we are readily available should our law enforcement partners need assistance with anything.
Tell us what role the expertise of the ATF will provide in this investigation, in this sort of investigation.
I can't comment about this investigation right now. All of that needs to come from the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office.
Expand it out then. I mean, in cases like this is certainly the ATF agents are unfortunately, extremely experienced in dealing with mass shooting events like this. What sort of expertise do the agents have that help in situations like this one?
Our special agents are able to provide assistance with anything on scene, whether it's security, interviews, tracing, anything like that. Really, it's up to whoever the lead law enforcement agency is that we're there to help. They let us know what it is they need.
So it could be more of a tactical help, but it could also be more on the investigative end, evidence collection and things like that as well?
It's really whatever it is they tell us they need help with, that's what we'll help with.
And can you tell us about the number of agents that are being sent to the scene at this point to help with the investigation?
I do not have an exact number for you, but it's both special agents from both of our field offices. So there's quite a few.
And typically, would the ATF aid in this sort of investigation, in a school shooting investigation?
It depends on the situation.
And at this point, again, we have Amanda Hill. She's from the Baltimore division of the ATF. We know that several ATF agents have been dispatched to that scene to help. And again, just for our viewers who are trying to piece this together and wondering how all this comes together with all these jurisdictions, trying to help the situation, how do the agents work this scene in terms of their cooperation with the local authorities there in St. Mary's County?
They take care of the lead, and then we just assist them however it is that they need help with. Anything that they need help with, we will work with them.
Amanda Hills from the Baltimore Field Division of the ATF. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, you just heard that the ATF has deployed 2 different regions of the field office to assist in this investigation. Right now, we understand that there is a investigation ongoing at Great Mills High School in St. Mary's County. We do not know the number of injured at this point or how many people were transported to the hospital. The St. Mary's County Sheriff's Department told us that the situation is contained and the school is on lockdown. And an important message to parents right now wondering what's going on is that they should meet at the Leonardtown High School auditorium, which is about 15 minutes away, to get more information and try to reunite with their children. Again, we've been trying to get more information at this point. We've been on the air from about 8:42. We first heard reports of a school shooting in St. Mary's County at about 8:10. And all we know right now is that this investigation is underway and that St. Mary's County Sheriff's Department is getting assistance now from the ATF and other law enforcement to aid in whether it's security or evidence collection or whatever else the lead law enforcement needs in furthering this investigation. We don't have any information about a shooter. We don't have any information about the students who may or may not have been involved or injured. We just know that there was a shooting investigation. You're looking at pictures or a video, I should say, of Great Mills High School, and you can see there are first responders on the scene, and that we are trying to get more word on the number of injuries that are being taken care of at this point at local hospitals. St. Mary's County is in southern Maryland, about 60 miles from the Washington, D.C. area. It's close to St. Mary's College, and about 1,600 students attend. And we can imagine it was a full day because it happened right as school was beginning, from what we understand.
Yeah, exactly. We started getting the reports just a few minutes after 8 a.m. We know the bell to start the day was at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the first reports we started getting were that there had been some sort of incident, some sort of shooting at Great Mills High School that quickly escalated to learning that several people had been shot and that they were calling some of the local hospitals in the area to expect multiple victims to be brought in. Again, I want to call you back to the video that we're getting now of some of the police response. These are images from outside Great Mills High School. Again, this is in St. Mary's County, and this is in the minutes following those reports of a mass shooting at that school. You can hear the sirens off in the distance. We know there were paramedics as well as local law enforcement there responding almost immediately to that scene. And now we're learning that not only are state police getting involved, but the ATF has dispatched several special agents to be of whatever use they can, whatever help they can.
We are getting reaction on social media from elected officials. We have Maryland Governor Larry Hogan tweeting that he is closely monitoring the situation. Our prayers are with students, school personnel, and our first responders. Steny Hoyer, Congressman from Maryland, also tweeting his concern about the situation. And we also have a student activist, Emma Gonzalez, who's become a face and a voice for this movement that came out of the school shooting massacre in Parkland, Florida last month. She's tweeting, "We are here for you, students of Great Mills. Together we can stop this from ever happening again." And that was the message when the school shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School happened last month. And out of the students' anger and frustration and fear and sadness, that they lost so many of their friends and their neighbors and their students. This March for Our Lives was called on Washington, D.C. It's happening this Saturday. Some 500,000 people are expected to attend. And people are saying this activism is really student-led and student-motivated, saying they are the future. They are outraged and upset and fed up with the amount of school violence that's occurring in our country over so many years. And here we are on a Tuesday morning reporting yet another school shooting incident, this time in St. Mary's County, Maryland, right in our backyard. We are working to learn more information about exactly what happened. Right now, we know that there was a school shooting at Great Mills High School in St. Mary's County in southern Maryland, that there are multiple injuries reported and several people were transported to the hospital. We know law enforcement is on the scene and that the school remains on lockdown, but that the situation is contained at this point.
Yeah, I know earlier we heard from Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland. He tweeted out that he was closely monitoring reports of that incident at Great Mills, and he sent his prayers are with the students, parents, and teachers. Now we have learned Representative Hoyer, Congressman Hoyer, is headed there to that scene as well. So again, Congressman Steny Hoyer headed to that scene along with several federal agents from the ATF as well.
We know you have a lot of questions. Earlier in our reporting, we had Corporal Julie Yingling from the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Department on, and here's what she could tell us about the investigation.
The situation at Great Mills, we have Sheriff's Office on scene. We have the scene contained. I can't give any information on wounded or any victims at this point. All I can do is urge parents to please respond to the Leonardtown High School auditorium, and we are currently working with the St. Mary's County Public Schools on doing reunification at the James A. Forrest Technical Center, which is also in Leonardtown.
Sort of describe what you mean by contain. What you're saying is to the parents out there who may be worried there's some ongoing danger, or even the neighbors who are living nearby that school, that they're not in any danger at this point, correct?
From my understanding, the school is still on lockdown. We have it contained. It is no longer active. We are on the scene doing our investigation.
Again, that is Corporal Julie Yingling from St. Mary's County Sheriff's Department. Again, just to bring you up to date, if you are just joining us at 9:31, law enforcement in St. Mary's County, Maryland, investigating a school shooting incident that occurred this morning sometime around 8 a.m. when school was beginning. We understand there are multiple injuries, but we don't know the extent of the injuries or who the victims are at this point, and that many were transported to St. Mary's Hospital. The most urgent message coming out of this investigation right now, that parents are being told to go to Leonardtown High School's auditorium to get more information from the Sheriff's Department and to be reunited with their students at some point this morning.
Yeah, again, what we're hearing is that some of the injuries are critical. We don't know how many. We don't know what type of injuries at this point, but we know some of them we're being told are critical. We can also tell you the FBI is sending some of its agents from the Baltimore field office. The ATF also dispatching agents to the scene, and the